What's going on, everyone? So there's this popular question I constantly get, and that's, how does it feel living in a finca full-time? Meaning working and living out of a cottage or a house in the mountains full-time. So I'm going to answer that with its advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, we're in Colombia right now, and this whole experience would change depending on your location, the finca you're staying in. So I'm going to share my own experiences with you. And the first point is the mornings. I think what makes living in a finca full-time exciting, for me at least, is the mornings. When you wake up in the morning, it's extremely fresh, so you know right off the bat that you're on the mountains, and you wake up energized, you wake up positive, you wake up full of energy. And you know, the nature sounds and everything. You get out and the first thing you hear is the birds and the animals, and it's quiet, it's calm. So the mornings for sure makes it special. Here in Colombia, the weather is always spring, so it's not really hot. When you wake up, you're not sweating or anything like that. It's not cold, you can still wear a t-shirt, so it's the perfect weather. For me, the best part of living in a finca is to be able to wake up in this like beautiful nature and just be ready to start working. You have all that energy and you have all that motivation to work. So how does it feel like working from a finca? I think that's one of the best parts of a finca, is to be able to work from there, to be able to live and make money while living in a finca. So the best thing is obviously in the mornings, you wake up super fresh, you're in the middle of nature, so you're all motivated to work, you're positive, you're not depressed, you know, your creative juices are flowing. So for me, I'm like extremely productive working from a finca. I'm also a lot more focused because there are no distractions. On top of it, I mean, you don't have to deal with, you don't have to dress up, you don't have to commute to work, you don't have to get into traffic, you don't have to do all those things. Now, you guys know, because of COVID, most people work from home, but working from home is not the same as working from a finca. When you work from home, you have limited space, so it's just the same environment, and after a while it could get depressing. In a finca, you have a lot of space, so you can just keep switching locations. You can sit here 1 minute, the next minute you can go there. If you feel like taking some fresh air, you can move outside and work from outside. If you want to take a break, you can just take a break and walk in the garden, or I don't know, if you have an important meeting, you can just take your computer, get into one of the rooms for some quiet space. Overall, you're more energized because you work from the nature. Like, you see green, you see trees everywhere, you see the nature, you're a lot more calm, you're a lot relaxed. So overall, I think it's amazing. I mean, if you have a good internet, if you just sort that out, you're all set. Alright, so what about your free time? What about like killing time in the finca? I mean, the most obvious thing is you're surrounded by nature, you're on the mountains, so you can always go trekking, you can mountain bike, you can get to know your neighbors, you can explore the nearby towns. That's a great way to kill time in the fincas. Other than that, people watch TV, people play PlayStation, maybe watch documentaries, podcasts, stuff like that. In my case, I work most of the week, like I'm working 5 days a week, so that kind of consumes most of my time. Another advantage of living in a finca, like for example in Llanogrande, which is 30 to 40 minutes to the city, is you can always go down to the city to kill some time if needed. Other than that, you can always like invite friends over. You can do barbecues, you can throw parties and stuff like that. Here's the thing though, like this is quite a solitary experience, right? So if you're staying in a finca alone, then you might get bored. In my case, my personality, I like to be alone, and I like to spend time alone, so it really doesn't bother me. But I know some people, they can't just live in a finca because it's just so quiet, and there's there's no people around them. If you are, however, moving to a finca with your family, I doubt this will happen. Like you'll probably have kids around, you'll have a dog, maybe some other family members, so I'm sure you'll be entertained in that sense. So yeah, there's quite quite a lot of things to do in a finca. I think it mostly depends on the area that you choose. For example, if you choose to live in a finca that's 3-4 hours from the nearest city, then you might have problems. You might actually find it quite depressing after a while. But if you find a place that's close to the city, and you can always spice it up. You can always go back to the city, come back to the finca, and that will keep things interesting. So living in a finca full time was always in my bucket list. I always wanted to do this, but I could never manage to do it. I mean, obviously I work full time, I work from an office, and the only time that I could actually go to a finca was always on the weekends or on vacations, right? So I was always like dreaming about how, you know, how exciting it would be to actually live in a finca and be able to work from there. So when the COVID arrived and, you know, obviously the offices closed, I worked from home for a while, and then I just realized here in Colombia, a lot of people, they were actually moving into fincas because, you know, you can still work from there, you can get your whole family in there, and you can just literally live in the nature, on the mountains. So that's what I did. I moved outside the city, I moved into the finca, and I could tell you that this was like one of the best decisions I did. This is quite the experience, it's amazing. You know, the worst case, I checked it off my bucket list, so it's done now. But I doubt like life would go back to normal from here. I mean, once you experience something like this, and in my case, my office, it's not gonna open. We're gonna work 100% from home. So it just doesn't make sense for me to actually go to the city and live there. If you can live in a finca full time, if you can work from there, if you can get paid, then why would you even, you know, just go to the city? Obviously, you know, city has its own advantages, and, you know, some people prefer the city, but in my case, I've been super happy living in a finca. And if you guys are in a similar situation where you're considering moving out of the city, and if you can work from home, and if you can have good internet in that finca, do it for sure. There's always Airbnb. You can just, you know, rent it short term. You can get a feel for it, see if you can, if you're a good fit to live in a finca, and if it feels right, then definitely go rent one, and I don't think you'll regret it. And that's basically it. I'm going to keep documenting my life in the mountains and share it with you guys. See you guys on the next one.